Fantasy, have a little bit more fun. I saw that the Final Fantasy VII Remake actually came out for PC. And I was like, they were selling it for $70. And I know that there's people that are going to buy it for $70. And I was thinking about that. Because that's a PlayStation game that's almost 2 years old at this point. So you're paying $70 for a game that's 2 years old and is probably a bad PC port. I have the Nier Automata PC port, and it's got a lot of problems. But it does run in ultra wide, which looks pretty cool, and it's a good game, you know. So I saw that and I was like, well, and you know, and then the system requirements, I remember looking at those and I was like, those are pretty extreme. What gets me about PC gaming, so how shall I start with this? Here's one of the big problems with modern PC gaming. We're about to play a game that is now like 25 years old or something, 26 years old, almost 27 years old. Problem with modern PC gaming is that PC gaming has always been an enthusiast area. I shouldn't say always or like 100% an enthusiast area because Blizzard would always make their games run on a really wide variety of hardware. And World of Warcraft, when it came out in 2004, could run, you know, it needed like 500 megabytes of RAM or something. You know, like really something today we'd be like, that's not any RAM. That's no RAM. But it could run on like nothing. You could run on a potato. What I've realized as time has gone on these last couple of years is that not only is PC gaming hardware getting more expensive, it's gotten more expensive for the next upgrade for like several years, actually for a while now. I remember when they came out with the NVIDIA Titan card. It was like a $2,000 video card. And I was like, $2,000 video card. You know, I was used to like kind of scratching my head over $400, you know, GPU cards. It's like, man, that's a lot for a GPU. Ooh, that's like top end GPU back in the day. But it keeps getting more expensive to where now people are paying, you know, $3,000 to get their hands on an RTX 3090, like the top of the line card. And it's a year into the cycle of the top of the line card. So are they going to come out with a 4000 series, you know? To even get a like decent GPU upgrade, you're looking at a huge expense because there's all this alternative utility for them. People are mining cryptocurrency and stuff like that with them all the time now. But even before, we've had crypto boom and crypto crash like several times. Even before that, the hardware is getting more and more expensive, which means if you're just a person who wants to play games, getting a PC to play PC games means you're either buying a PC to play games that are 10 years old or you're not getting one, really. Now, the last year and a half, 2 years, you can't even get the $3,000 video card. You go to Newegg and you sign up for the lottery that opens up between like 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Pacific. It opens up for 2 hours. You go and you click, I want this, and you roll the dice. It's the Newegg Shuffle. Maybe you get to buy the RTX 3090 for like $3,000. So not only is it more expensive, you can't even get it. So if you're one of these people that's like, I really want to be the PC Master Race Gaming, it's really hard to do that now. It's really hard to do that. And it's hard to buy it would be hard to buy a competent enough video card to just play Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PC, a game which has been available on consoles for almost 2 years. Now, what will you get with that? Will you get better performance? Possibly. Possibly not, because it's a Square Enix port. You know, what other top-of-the-line PC games are you going to maybe play, like Doom or something, or they come up with another Doom game that will run, you know, on an amazing video card or something like that. Or you get ray tracing, you know. You're paying out the nose to really not get a whole lot of extra performance. And then the system requirements that go up and up and up just kind of lock you out of the market at a certain point where PC gaming, it really is like Master Race Gaming. You can't really afford to do it. But here's the flip side, which is like I said, you can build a PC to play games that are 10 years old. If you build a PC, or if you're just looking at playing good games, there is a massive catalog of good games going back years and years at this point that you can play, and you can have access to them for very, very little money. I am playing Final Fantasy 3 when it came out in North America. It's actually Final Fantasy 6. I'm playing it using RetroArch, which runs emulators. This will run on an Android phone. So like I have an old phone that I could probably just pull out of a drawer that will run all of this stuff, you know. I'm sure I have one in there. You know, I have an old Android phone, like a Google Pixel. I have one somewhere. It'd be very dramatic if I could just pull it out right now, but I don't. So let's pretend I pulled out a Google Pixel, number one. You know, it's an outdated Android phone, right? It's, you know, not as good as it used to be, but it has higher than HD resolution. It's fast enough to run RetroArch and pretty much all the Android port games that came out. You could run Open Morrowind Android. It can run Knights of the Old Republic and a lot of those sorts of things. Maybe it's, you know, it's very out of date and can't keep up with some newer phone game, but the phone games all suck anyway. They're all like gotcha games designed to get your money. Maybe it can't run the phone version of Genshin Impact, but it probably could, actually. You can get them for really cheap because people are like, it's old technology. I don't need it anymore. The only reason I replaced mine is the speakers went on in it. But if I were only going to play with headphones, it would be like, and I could make it a gaming machine or make a dock out of it and it only plays on my TV. And you could play retro games just with an old phone worth of hardware. So if you're wanting to play a huge catalog of old games, there has never been more opportunity to play old games and have access to them very cheaply. In fact, probably a really good buy for playing retro games would be like an older Samsung Galaxy phone, like a Galaxy S8 or something. You could probably get one really cheap. And it has like the, you know, all the things that you'd need on it. It's Bluetooth and it's got good Wi-Fi capability and things like that. And you could even broadcast it to your TV or plug it into a dock that would output HDMI to your TV. And you could have basically a ghetto retro switch just in a phone, and you could hook a Bluetooth controller up to it. And before you know it, you're playing retro games on a budget. And you would play for years before you ran out of a catalog of games to play. But the whole gaming industry builds itself on the newest, best thing, the best new graphics, the coolest new thing. You haven't seen anything like this. You haven't experienced anything like this. Old phones can still do VR and things like that. When you know, just a couple 4 or 5 years old, phones can still do VR. Like, you know, most of these experiences are actually very cheap to access if you're not looking to get like, I want to have the RTX on. I want to have ray tracing that makes the lighting look slightly better in ways that most people can't tell on a well-designed game. You know, and there's videos out there, is RTX worth it? And you have people that are like experts. You're like, I could tell the difference, but it doesn't look better necessarily to have all the ray tracing and stuff on for a given game. I have a PS5. I have the newest console hardware. That is actually more accessible than trying to buy a new PC these days. And it's $500, which is really less than anyone would pay for a modern graphics card. That doesn't include the rest of the computer. So you get a whole thing with a PS5, and it's a decent way to have access to games. So if you're looking to have access to games, I think consoles are, even though you can get the consoles, they're easier to get than PC hardware, it seems like. And it's certainly less expensive than buying PC hardware. They have ray tracing, like you can set all the settings, like we had the Ratchet and Clank game. Turn it on, you can run it at 60 FPS. You're like, wow, this game looks great. You like turn on ray tracing and it runs at like 30 FPS, and you're like, the game looks the same but choppier. I don't know, the ray tracing, I think I noticed, I tried it out in a couple levels. I noticed one level that was like covered with rain wet pavement looked better with ray tracing. It looked really cool. But that was it. You know, the regular levels just look the same. Might as well turn on the performance mode, turn on the 60 FPS mode. Things look better at 60 FPS than they do like with enhanced graphics at 30 FPS or lower or anything like that. So anyway, my point is that now is probably a better time than ever to get into retro gaming if you just want to play video games that are good. and have access to a huge catalog. You got to think there's all the PS1 games, PS2 games. That those two generations had a bunch of amazing games, as well as Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo games, you can run those emulators on potatoes. They've been running on 300 megahertz IBMs from 20 years ago. So yeah, you can run Super Nintendo emulators, Genesis emulators, no problem. You can run PlayStation, PS2 emulators, really no problem as well. It's just a matter of what device you want to set up to do it. And you could do it with a phone. You could do it with an old phone that you don't even use anymore. You could just set that up for retro gaming and just have it hooked up to your TV if you wanted to. If it was something that was a Samsung phone that had DeX in it, you could have it to just automatically go to the TV. You just turn on the phone or wake it up and play some RetroArch or something like that. So yeah, that's my, I guess, going into the year 2022 retro game lecture. There's never been a better time to hop into retro games because they've never been more affordable or more accessible to everyone. And it's never been harder to get into the next level of that, right? To buy the newest console. I know I have one. To have the newest, best PC gaming rig capable of playing PC games. You're getting the crazy ultra-wide monitors or something like that. It's like I would want to get a 4K TV mostly for productivity reasons. If I was playing a whole game with like a giant TV, like let's cut the top off and let's just play an ultra-wide like I'm used to playing. There's nothing to say you can't do that with a 4K TV. So the 4K TV is really more like I want to have more productivity space, move my documents around and that kind of stuff, rather than like a gaming setup. But you could do it with that as well. So a lot of people, you already have the gaming hardware really necessary to do a ton of stuff. You can even, you can hack your old PS4, you can hack an old console, and turn it into an absolute beast for playing older games. And that's how I have my Wii U set up actually right now. So my Wii U is basically set up as a Nintendo machine. It plays every Nintendo console going all the way back. You can play every game on it. It's pretty cool to set it up. So I have my whole collections just kind of put on that. And then I have like my PS3 and my Vita are like to play the PlayStation side. It's just a little different feel. Has the right controllers and stuff. When you're playing like PS1, PS2 games on the PS3, the controller really feels the same. So it's a really good experience, I feel like. Anyway.